Hey, so this is me again in post, making this intro to what I now know will be part 3 um, of this multi-part, uh, originally mega video that is, again, yeah, now it's cut down. It was filmed in parts, but like weird, like without clear definitions of starting and ending. It was just like the only thing that was making me pause and break it in parts was like needing to take real life breaks. So it wasn't until like later that I decided finally to be like logical and make the parts by day. So that's not happened yet. So it's weird. It's weird. 'Cause then I'll like though that will be kept in those audio portions where I finally, because like originally I'm just like recording this without a, with the like delusional now idea that this like thing that's been going on for like 6 and 7 hours is going to be one mega long video. I was totally prepared for that, and then it occurred to me, this is ridiculous. I have to cut this down and like upload it in parts. So it's this, now there are these inorganic like interruptions, if that makes sense, and like this is one of them. This intro is one of them. If you like cut out this intro and then cut out the last outro, the part 2's outro, you'll hear how if originally it was just me launching in from where I ended before the outro of part 2, and where I begin here, but outside of this intro, after this intro, it would piece together in a way that sounds natural because originally they were together. Like, yeah, I hope that makes sense. And forgive me for like this, so like, and that's another thing. Like these intros, these little intros and outros I'm adding, they're like being recorded in, I'll just say, they're being recorded in October, and who knows when I'll upload them, because even these, like, editing is taking so long. So like originally the main audios, these are all recorded in like September, end of September, well after Queen Elizabeth's passing. But then delayed still I was when I went into editing, because it's a monster edit here, and I'm busy, and it's a bit lazy. So yeah, so it's like thing on thing. And then so I'm like doing it one at a time, and like I am like we are fast approaching November at this point. So yeah, it's this is so after the fact, all of this. But it's for posterity. So I hope it's clear what I'm doing here. I'm reliving how I experienced Queen Elizabeth's passing through Twitter, and all of the news and events that unfolded in that crazy 2-week span. Okay, alright. Here goes. Okay. And then this is just oh gosh, this is a snap of what was trending for me. And I think Meghan might have been trending internationally, because those are the real numbers of a trend. Because the trending page can be like for you, because the Twitter like algorithm bots, whatever, they get a sense of your patterns, of what you look up, and they'll show you things that are trending for you, and it'll be in the like 2,000, 3,000, maybe 4,000 range of tweets. They'll show you stuff pertaining to what you tend to like and look at on Twitter. But then the things that have numbers like this, like Meghan's name here, those are the things that are trending for everyone. If you didn't have a Twitter account and you logged into Twitter, or you opened Twitter, like this would be on the list of things trending for anyone just looking at the Twitter trends of the day, who doesn't have like a Twitter account. Yeah, it's a real trend is what I'm trying to say. That's the really trending when it's numbers like that. 200,008 tweets. Like, what? This is supposed to be the Queen. This is supposed to be Queen Elizabeth's funeral time. And this is what most people, at least online, were talking about. And on like, apparently on, I don't get UK TV. It would be maddening if I did. Thank God I don't. I don't see their morning shows. I just see it in highlights sometimes from channels I watch that cover, like, Meghan Harry news. But for the most part, I don't see it. And it's, like, so nice that I don't see it. Because even seeing clips of it is, like, very frustrating and annoying, because I just want to challenge everything and point out how they're wrong and lying and how when they're being dishonest, but you can't. And then if you do, like, respond online, you're liable to get blocked, and because they don't want a conversation, they don't want to be challenged, they certainly don't want to be pointed out as being dishonest. So what do? They block you or they ignore you. So it's like, it's pointless either way. And then it's just like, they create this echo chamber of haters. And it's, I don't know, it's like, it's so wrong. But that's just the world we live in now with social media. This is what it is. So, yeah. So that was trending. And so the title of that, by the way, was trending because it was trending. So then I clicked on it and I saw this, and it was like, whoa, look at those numbers. And this is still on the 10th. And so I saw Christopher Boozy was like one of the top, and he said, what the UK media is doing to Meghan Markle is insidious. It is. It's insidious, it's dangerous, it's abusive, it's just next level. And it's like, if you're really being neutral, how you can say, like, this is you know, fine and not a problem for the Waleses, for William and Kate to not say anything about, for Charles to not say anything about, that's fine. But Meghan and Harry's fans, like, talking about the cheating rumors, that's the cruel thing. That's the cruel behavior. Like, another manipulative liar. And then Philip Lewis tweeted, a 14-year-old was able to hug Meghan Markle and said she did it to show her that she's welcome here. It's just, like, almost tear-inducing. Just so sweet. And so just more on that story. And 48,000, excuse me, I can see for a minute, 49,000 likes that got. It's just like, so it's like, yeah, you gotta, I mean, and then you have to remind yourself, it's not everybody. It is a lot of people, but it's not everybody, and it's not even most people. Like, most people are like, oh my gosh, Meghan Markle, especially in America, and even in England. So it's like, yeah, they say a lot of hateful things, they push a lot of hate, they lie about her a lot, but the truth is most people think she's fine, or they think she's dope. Like, most people are just neutral, or they're like fans. And then there's a loud minority, but you know, minority is like 49% is technically a minority, and that's a lot of fucking people. So yes, it is still a lot of people. I don't know exact numbers, I couldn't tell you, but there are a lot of people who don't like her. That's the fact of it, and this used to really bother me. It still kind of sometimes does, but like, I don't know, like, I guess like I'm getting used to it. It's like I'm a little bit approaching zen about it, because it's like, yeah, like, I guess she's always gonna be hated. Like, because I kept having this, like, almost childish, like, kind of naive hope that she'll do this thing, and like, oh, she look at how beautiful she looked in this red dress at you know, like, when her and Harry went to, like, one thing when she was pregnant. I was like, they can't fault her for this, and they did. They totally did. They're like, she's not really pregnant, she's wearing heels, even though there's like a million pictures with Kate pregnant in heels. So it's like, I just had to keep, like, even though I was reminding myself, because I would get into endless arguments with these people online, and this is the thing too, it's like, okay, well, I won't get into that, but So I would keep getting into these arguments with people. I will. The reason I didn't want to get into it, it's a very brief thing, but I think I might have said it in an earlier part. But just in case I didn't, forgive me for repeating this if I did, but my experience with the hate was mostly through the people. It wasn't through the press. So it was almost like news to me after the fact, when like they were about to do their Oprah interview, when I was seeing BuzzFeed articles about like 20 different headlines between Kate and Meghan, where they praised Kate for a thing Meghan did and crucified Meghan. I didn't even know really about that. Like, maybe one article I had seen that felt mean from the Daily Mail, but most of the hate I was experiencing that was making it so difficult to be online at a point and making me like just take a complete break from even going on the Sussex Instagram page when they posted, because it was just so much, it was like depressing, and it was like I'm like praying to God she's not reading this, because it was so mean, and she was doing everything right then. She was in the family. She still is technically in the family, but I mean, she was, you know what I mean. She was in England working as a, for no pay, as a duchess, doing the job, and still being treated so cruelly. And I really wish I'd taken more receipts. I do remember taking a few screenshots, but like now they've taken off or hidden all the comments. Like they turned off all the comments for everything they ever posted on the Sussex page. But it's like, because people want to lie now and say we loved her until the Oprah interview. I just want to like, if there's an emoji to like accompany my reaction whenever I see that these days, it's like, I don't know, actually I can't think of one, but it's just like, you lying sack of shit. Like, what are you, how dare you lie to my face over the internet? Because it's like, no, you, like, this was all leading up to this. Like, I was such a, I think I said this last time, I was such a, like, I was so defiant at first, and like, because people were literally asking Meghan to leave. They were saying, you need to go, we don't like you, we like Harry. Like, they were, even Piers Morgan was one of the people who was like, we don't like Meghan's type here, she needs to go. And they was just, and I was like, no, Meghan's gonna stay and she's gonna own it, and fuck all you people are evil. And I was arguing constantly, and then there was a point though where I reached where I was like, maybe she should go, maybe she'd be happier. And then like some months later they announced that they were leaving, and I was like, it was bittersweet. I was like, yay, but I was like, no. But I was like, yay, like, I mean, I guess everyone gets what they want, because clearly these people do not want her here. And like, so, and I was experiencing it through that. And then like, then I was unfortunate enough to find the YouTube space of hate for Meghan. I was primarily experiencing the hate through Instagram, and then like Reddit a little bit. And but then I found I just typed in like M in the search box. I can't remember what I was looking up, but I typed in M, and then like it just popped up Murky Meghan, and I was like, who? What's that? And I clicked on it stupidly, and I found this, it led me to a whole world of YouTubers. That's when I found According to Taz. I found I did not know that there was a anti-Meghan hate space on YouTube. I didn't know it existed until that day. And that was still, like, she hadn't even had Archie yet, so it was like, she was still in there and working, and they hated her. And I found all these channels that like express constant hatred. I'm like, no, like, I didn't need to know about this. And then I found like accompanying Instagram pages for a lot of these people, and it's like, it was just, and I didn't even know that I didn't know a Sussex Squad existed. I felt so alone, because I would just be arguing solo, or what felt like solo, in comment section after comment section of random Instagram. Like, it would just be on my For You page. They would post something about Meghan, and I would stupidly, again, look into the comments, and it would, like, half the comments, half to like 75% would be just so mean. And I would just be getting into arguments with these people, with these strangers. And it was such a strong constant thing. No matter what she did while she was working Royal, there was this hate. And I was like, this is insane, and I'm just hoping she's not seeing this, and Harry's not seeing this, and like worrying what's it gonna be like for Archie. I remember having that thought, like, if they hate her this much, there's no way they're gonna be like nice to her kid. And then I saw that come to fruition. They were not nice to her kid. They were cold to him. They were dehumanizing of him, calling him not real, calling him a doll, not in a cute way, not in a fun way, calling him a doll like he's not a real human, like he's a doll. We saw this little baby get kissed by Archbishop Desmond Tutu, and in South Africa, and there's like, this is like, it feels too stupid to even be arguing. It's like someone is yelling at me, I'm not real, and I'm like trying to say, but I'm talking to, like, it feels like beneath me, but I also, like, I can't, like, because they're like, it's not a like throwaway thing, it's a consistent thing I see in the hate spaces, that Archie is not real, that Lilibet is not real, that these children are not real, they're dolls, and sometimes they say they're holograms, and it's like, I don't know what to even say. I don't know what to say, and it's like, it's next level dehumanization. So it's like literal dehumanize, like they're not human is the most dehumanizing thing you could say about a human, right? So, I'm seeing that, I'm realizing that's a thing, and it is trickling down to her children, the hate, and I'm like, this is like not safe. And then, shortly after that, or sometime after that, they announced they were leaving, and I was like happy, and then they were like, okay, but we demand you pay back the funds if you're leaving, and then the funds for the Frogmore, and then they did, and then what do you know, they still weren't happy, and they're like, well, we still hate you, bitch. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, there was no winning here, like, what, like, because, like, these things would happen. I think I was trying to make this point earlier, but these things would happen, and I would stupidly, naively think, maybe this will be the thing. Maybe they'll pay back the Frogmore Cottage renovations, and they'll be nice to them. Like, what? What's wrong with you? I'm saying to myself now, to my past self now, like, no, they were never gonna like her. Like, and I had to, like, eat that. I had to accept that. Like, and it takes a lot to accept that, and I'm wondering if there's a parallel thing happening here where Meghan has to do that too, and Harry too. They both have to have a moment where they're like, you're not going to do some magical thing that makes people like you, especially now that the races have that Oprah interview to use as an excuse, because they had nothing before and they were owning it. They had nothing before and they were owning their hatred of you unapologetically, making endless excuse. I would ask all the time. Some of my go-to questions were like, what could she have done differently? Never got a proper answer, and I would usually get blocked, or they would say, oh, she can do nothing. They just wouldn't answer. They would say, there was never any like, oh, well, she could have done. There was never a list, because they never hated her for anything that made sense to hate her for. They're like, what are they going to tell me? Oh, if she touched your stomach a little less, I wouldn't completely hate her and wish for her to be dead. That's the thing that did it. That's the thing that's making me so vile in these comments right now, and like make fun of her body and her, like, yeah, that's what did it. Like, they don't have a leg to stand on with that, so they have to just like send me, oh yeah, that's another thing they love to do, is just a bunch of laughing emojis. It's a weird, I think I said this earlier, that it's such a like identifying thing of the right and of hateful people, is like, it seems like to be a low IQ hateful thing, where like low IQ people who are also hateful, they love to rely on emojis. They like overuse them. It's so fascinating. I wonder what the psychology is there. It's like, I don't know, they have to show you that they're amused, even though I can just see them stony faced, not laughing at all, but they just have to show you how much mirth they're having at this at being like little mean girls and mean boys. It's so weird. But it's not weird for them. It's them. It's very them of them. It's like, you'll always know you're talking to a low IQ, usually right-wing person, when they're uh, leaning heavy on those emojis, particularly those laughing emojis. What was I saying though? I guess I read Philip Lewis's comment. I feel like I was definitely saying something I didn't finish. Me and these tangents and sub-tangents. Sorry if I'll be more upset with myself listening back to this and like, oh, I didn't finish talking about whatever. But, you know, I probably repeated myself a bunch, so maybe it doesn't matter. Anyway, so then there are these still from Megan trending, and this was one I liked by Claire, someone called Claire, who says, the courage it must have taken Megan to do this, crying emoji, in a country where abusing you has become a lifestyle, and a very lucrative one at that. Gotta point that out. I couldn't love her and respect her more. Her and Harry continue to show grace, oh my god they do, and bravery, oh my god they do, in the face of so much hate. Harry is like, he's like this is what you should call a Chad, like, being able to look in the face of these fucking losers. This is like Chad behavior. This is like, because Chad is like aspirational for males. It doesn't get any better. This is the epitome of a man. I mean, okay, I don't want to like gas him up too much. He's not like perfect, but it's like, this is how a man should treat his wife. This is how a man should treat his family when his family is like Harry's UK family. It's this, like, just respectful, dignified, doing what is asked, and like, yeah, like, it's just oh, every little thing became such a big thing, and then well, I won't get into that, but yeah, Harry's he's a good husband, and he's a good person. He grew into a really good person, and I hope he stays that way. You never know. And I like them. I like both of them as a people. I like both of them as a couple. I like them both as people. And I wish all the wealth for them, and I really just think of it in terms of like, I want them to be financially okay forever, so that they can forever, as Harry talked about in the Oprah interview, afford security, because they need it, because people are deranged. Their deranged hate base is super duper deranged. They don't even think their children are real. This is the like kind of people who would definitely pull a Mary Turner on Meghan if they got their hands on her. They say like, oh my, like, I'll just say, like, Archholes, there's a Instagram page called Archholes, that, I feel like that page is run by a guy. I don't know, there's something they said that felt like, I don't know, felt like a guy, but it could easily be a woman. They're like, I feel like most of their hate base is women, but something about some language, Archholes, account holder used, it felt male. I don't know though. But like, I don't even want to repeat it, but they said this utterly dehumanizing, nasty thing, nasty in all the ways, about Meghan's genitalia, and, so like, I mean, at least there's that, where it's like, it's very obvious who the villain is. Like, this is, like, clearly, like, that's clearly a bad person, and sometimes that's comforting when they're just overtly, like, evil or mean, because it's like, okay, yeah, you're just a mean person, and it's not nice. Obviously mean is not nice, but it's like, I don't know, it's a little bit more, I kind of prefer when it's a little more black and white. It's like, the frustrating stuff is when it's like people pretending to be decent who are just like, oh, I just don't like her because of this lie she told and that lie she told. Then it's like, that sounds like an actual argument, but it's a lie. And like, you are ironically lying when you say she lied about X, Y, and Z. And that's more irritating to me than just like the flat out making fun of her looks or whatever. It's like, because then when it's like that blatant, it's just like, oh, you're like the obvious bad guy here. You're the obvious villain, which is like easier to work with. And it's easier to like like, yes, then villainous people will be attracted to you, and it's like you are the villains of this story. And it's just easier. It's those people who pretend to be on the fence, who pretend to just be coming from a neutral place when they clearly are not. That's very irritating. But yeah, so yeah, Harry's great. I think that's all I was saying. And Meghan is awesome for doing this for him, because I can't stress it enough. This was so like beautiful of her to be able to do this. I wonder about the little details too, though. I wonder like how they got their clothes in, and it's like there's so much. I don't know. Are people religious anymore? Because it's like, it's such an amazing thing to me that they were in England when this happened. You know, they were there already for the Well Child Awards, which Harry, since then, has been able to, like, sort of fulfill some obligations towards, and he got to, like, meet through Zoom some of the Well Child recipients, and the award recipients, and their parents. It was very sweet. That video was very sweet. And of course, on socials, the people attacked them, because that's what specifically the royalists, racist Wales fans attacked them, because they do that with every charity that works with Meghan and or Harry. So yeah, but so that they just happen to be there, and it's like, whoa. And it's like, I don't know, I feel like that's meaningful. And it feels intentional, but it easily could have just been a coincidence, and I'm just reading too much into it, but it feels cosmic, and I don't know, sometimes it feels like the signs, I don't know, it's just, sometimes I guess I'm trying to extract meaning from things that feel meaningful, and feel symbolic, and feel like, God ordained, and there's just so much that, like, this is like just another thing to get lost in the weeds about, but I'll be very brief then. I'll just say, I just feel like sometimes God is showing us stuff. Like, I'm agnostic, so sometimes I'm like, is there a God? I don't know. But sometimes I'm like, it really feels like God exists and is showing us stuff. I don't know. I don't really know what's true. That's what agnostic means. But it feels like it's true a lot of the time. And it's like, I don't know that God would necessarily be showing us anything by having Harry and Meghan be there when his grandmother died, when he needed to be there, and they both did. But the timing of it feels like it was helpful for them. But yeah, that was what I was saying, like the little things, like the behind the scenes things I wonder about that we'll probably never know. Like, did Harry and Meghan have their clothes sent from America? Do they have clothes that they keep at Frogmore? Because she had like 3, like him, I was gonna say for him it didn't matter because he just wore 3 black suits, but that's not quite true. They were all a little different. But for specifically, but definitely for her, she had like the perfect type of black dress for each occasion. And I wonder if they like overnighted some things through the mail from America, or if it's a silly thing to wonder about. But I was thinking about the stress of that, because that adds to the stress, and wondering if maybe they have just clothes they keep at Frogmore. Yeah, I don't know. And I guess it's not important. But anyway, so then Tom Alabine said, the fact that Meghan Markle gets treated way worse by the press, oh my god, say it, Tom, I already know what he's going to say, then Prince Andrew is absolutely astonishing. It's not when you think about misogyny, but okay, going on. Apparently eating avocados is worse than abusing children. Yes, also eating avocados is worse than starting World War III. Eating avocados is worse than Charles calling his mother cold and distant. Your queen, the queen that you pretend to worship, that if Meghan again was not a factor, and when he did say that, people did not like they didn't cancel him. They didn't like say, how dare you? But when Harry criticizes his rearing, but does it compassionately and with love and empathy and understanding that it's a cycle, that there's something they're all stuck in, then it's like he said that I have intentions to kill my grandmother. He may as well have said that, because that is how they treated him. That's how they treated Meghan. He may as well have said, I guess more accurately, it's more like he said, Meghan said that we should kill my grandmother, and I'm just deciding if we should. I haven't decided yet. She hasn't told me what to decide yet. That's how they treat him. That's how they treat her. Like they said that, like he said that. And I just know, because we've already seen, this family has been getting criticized, rightfully so, for decades. And people have normal reactions to the criticism. They're like, yeah, of course, yeah, they're toxic. Yeah, they don't treat their staff that well. Yeah, Anne has bullied staff. Yeah, Charles has bullied staff. Yeah, they're like exempt from civil rights laws that ensure certain gender and race hiring norms are enacted in places of business that the Queen ensured. And again, if Meghan was not part of this family, they would just have those conversations like normally. Like Piers Morgan wouldn't be blowing a fuse when these things came up. If like some, I don't know, famous person started talking about this stuff, like, you know, I don't know, Sean King, just independent of apropos of nothing, just started like, he made a tweet or whatever that went viral, and then like people were discussing it on like, you know, UK news in the morning, and this is a world where Meghan Markle and Harry had not met. People would just discuss it with like sanity, with measured opinions, and be like normal. They wouldn't be blaming anyone. They wouldn't be calling it woke this, or well, some would call it woke this, but it wouldn't be this big like sin to call it out. It wouldn't be seen as this like elder abuse and the height of disrespect to criticize the Queen, to criticize their Queen. It would just be seen as like, okay, because we've seen over the years that happen. We've seen the Queen be criticized. We've seen her own son do the criticizing, and people were like, well, you know, he has a right to say that because, yes, of course that like royal reporters have been calling out this family for decades, have been calling out their flawed structure and the cold way they treat each other, and the cold way they treated Diana for decades. It's just well-known stuff. Everything is now just so stuck to Meghan. Meghan, in a way, I don't know what it will mean long term, but it's like, for now, it's like she's like the best thing that ever happened to this family, because they can now sort of do whatever they want with impunity by a lot of people, because of her, because now everything they do is considered fine, good, and right, because it's like they represent not Meghan. They are the anti-Meghan, and Meghan is this interloper, mixed race, American woman who represents outsiderness and otherness that doesn't belong at that tier to them. So now, just to be good, proper supporters of anything anti-Meghan, they will just support anyone and anything that represents anti-Meghanness, even if it's a guy who helped traumatize a sex-trafficked teen, in the case of Andrew. Even if like Charles can have be handling bags of cash, taking bloody, dirty bags of cash from what are technically Western enemies, and it's fine. It's fine now, because at least it's not Meghan, and everything is now framed in that way for a lot of people who do this commentary, who do royal reporting, in a way it was not before. now they can do no wrong, even when they're objectively doing wrong. So that's like, I don't know how long that's going to last. Maybe forever. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. But, poor Megan. But moving on. So here Megan is, hugging that girl again. And this is the quote again. And I just liked how many likes it had. I wanted to show her that she's welcome. Yes. The 14-year-old said this. And yeah, it's just wild. It's wild. And so yeah, again, this was just a very sweet moment, and I'm just glad it happened for both of them, really. And then this is another one by Myra, where she says, I love how Megan always bends down to talk to children at eye level. Yeah, that is a very princessly and just a very kind of maternal thing to do. I feel like I wonder, because I was like wondering if that was wrong of me to say maternal when because I was gonna say, like, I think William and Harry have done that. I think Kate's done this, but I think William and Harry. But I can't think of when William has done this. I think I've seen Harry do this, bend down to be at the kids level. I don't know that I've seen William do it though. I'm not gonna Google it right now. It would be so easy to Google, but it doesn't matter. But I do like that Megan does this, and it's just natural, isn't it? If you have good knees, if you're like healthy and you can, that when a child is talking to you, that you get down to their level. Yeah. And then this one I liked by or a tweet from Agatha DeLilly. We see you, Megan. We love you. We respect you. Your strength and courage. Take a great care of yourself. Yeah. And I like this picture. It's a still, like, she just captured a moment of her moving, but she looked positively radiant. I know it's a very bleak time, and her energy there was very nervous, and this is like the event where Kate was very hostile towards her. And I mean, I don't know if it's just reframing. It's so easy to, like, because I don't know, it could easily just look like something that it's not, and it's not in these, because these are all pictures, so it's not going to be here. But there is a video from this day that where Kate is, like, it looks like she's coming at Megan, but I mean, that's just so absurd. Like, is Kate so drained she was about to, like, fight her, and she needed to be snapped out of it by her husband saying, all right, let's wave. I mean, he didn't say that literally, but he basically announced when they should, like, that they were leaving, and then that, like, snapped Kate into, like, saying goodbye. But it looked like she was eyeing down Megan, and she was, like, doing a not come at me, because that would be from Megan's point of view. But she was just coming at Megan, and then it looked like Megan was backing away from her. It looked like she was about to fight her, and that's what it looks like. But there's part of me that's like, there's no way that's what that was, because, like, even if Kate is, like, a wicked soul, like, she's not about to fight someone in public at a, like, I don't know, something that's akin to a vigil. Like, what? But it was weird. It was very weird body language, and she seemed deranged, and it did look like Megan was backing away. I don't know what to make of that. I mean, she's fine now. Megan is back in Cali, and she's fine, far away from the angry face melting lady who I don't know what to make of half the time. Oh, and I'm on the 11th. 9/11. These pictures are from 9/11. So this one and the last one were from, wait. Yeah. So this one and the last one where she was bending at the children's level, they're from the 11th of September. So yeah. But let's move on. Okay, so this one, let's see, this is, a lot of likes. This is from someone called Shahed Ezziadi. and she says, Kate Middleton not going up to Balmoral because, but this particular tweet was from September 8th, as you can see, but I took it on the 11th. I guess because I was still looking at the trending for Meghan that day, because you can see Meghan is in black. That means it was like it was trending, and then I clicked on it, so now everything that is the trending word will be in black, if you don't know how Twitter works. But okay, so this says Meghan, oops. This is Meghan Middleton. Kate Middleton not going up to Balmoral, where the Queen died, because of childcare. She leans on that one a lot. And it's like, I would have thought Louis would be better behaved if you're his primary caregiver, but okay. Because of childcare is all fine and good, but Meghan Markle basically doing the same thing isn't. Yeah. The racism is jumping out once again. It is, and I know I was in the camp of like, oh my gosh, ugh, if I could just retell my story. Like, I was so like, guys, because like there were Meghan defenders in those early days, but I was like overwhelmingly alone. But what I would see occasionally are people saying, oh, the racists in these comments are like really showing out today, and I'd be like, I don't know if we should call it racism though. Is it really I was that. And I was like, we don't know though. We're not in their heads. Now I'm full like, this is racism. Like 99% of the time this is racism, because it just doesn't make sense any other way. It's misogyny, but even the misogyny is happening because of racism. Because like, there are things that Meghan has done that they condemn her for, that Kate has also done that they do not condemn her for. So it's not just misogyny. They're not just condemning women. They're condemning Meghan in misogynistic ways because of her racial makeup. And this level of ire, this level of hate, this completely untethered rage, this intensity of anger for the most innocuous behaviors and words, it's not reasonable, and it's not just a normal neutral person's reaction, and it's not even just a normal misogynistic reaction. It's a racist misogynistic reaction. It's a racist reaction that bleeds out as misogyny a lot of the time, because they're not just calling women like, oh, this duchess is a whore and also this duchess is a whore. It's like, no, like, we'll excuse Kate's things that we, if Meghan did any of this, we would use these pictures and call her a whore for them. We'll excuse Kate doing that. But let's focus on how Meghan is one. And why would that be? Why would they ignore Kate's quote-unquote bad girl behavior in favor of attacking Meghan? And so just like, if you ask yourself why that would be, why they would attack Meghan for the same things Kate has done, for things Kate has done, a worse version of, one could argue, like social climbing, why one and not the other? Who was more obscure before they tied themselves to a prince? Because Meghan had, like, she was, on Larry King, solo. She was like building wealth for herself and had a lucrative career. She was in privileged positions of her own making. Kate was not. She was doing like family business stuff, and then no real job, nothing really with her degree, and then she got married to William, and all her fame, 100% of it, came from her tie to William. But they keep trying to hold not being famous enough against Meghan, which makes absolutely no sense. And why would they do that? Why would they treat one duchess who was completely obscure as inferior or as fine despite her obscurity, but treat the other one as inferior and unworthy because she wasn't famous enough? Because even though she was more famous than the other brother's wife. Why would that be? What's the difference? Race is the difference. And it's like, and you just gotta look through history and just like, when you just see the pattern of how the most vile white people have behaved, the next level hostility the rage, aggression they've unleashed on black people, like black people just for existing, not to talk of a mixed race person with black heritage who is in that, at that tier. Like they don't even like when like low class white people go into that tier, not to talk of a mixed race person who's like, your blackness is your permanent underclass tier. Like they're very classist, like openly classist. That's what the British royal family even represents, is like the height of classism, the top tier of a classist structure and a classist country. And I think inherently they see like blackness as low tier. You don't belong up there. And so if you have even a little bit of it in you, you're perma-tainted. That's why, by the way, there's this forever hostility, dehumanization, coldness, rejection of her children. As white as they are, they have a black grandmother. So they are tied to that low class tier that's supposed to remain forever underclass. You do not get to our level with that parentage, with that grandparentage. So yeah, it's racism. But anyway, so I like that tweet because it's true and it had a lot of likes, and so I screenshot it. And then this one was more recent with Meghan trending, but it was, Twitter doesn't organize particularly by date. I think that was up there just because of the amount of likes when I clicked on Meghan. But yeah, so the next one is from Archetypes Meghan Markle. I don't know, Yoon Strawberry, I think. And they said, I'm so proud of Meghan. She showed... Oh wait, did I read this already? I don't know, it seems familiar. Forgive me for repeating myself, but these pictures look new because like that one really stands out where she's like looking up at that. I love that picture. That is the sweetest thing, and that is the future. And that's, that represents to me Charlotte too. Like, I mean, I don't know, Charlotte might be a company woman too, who knows. But I just have hopes. I have hopes that she's gonna be a little feminist like her auntie Meghan. And she will, and then maybe George and Louis too, will like reach out at some point when they're old enough to make that decision for themselves. And it'll be so cool. I want Lily and Charlotte to hang out so badly. But, and we all, like, if we're honest, we know Harry and Meghan would be open to that, would be open to the kids hanging out. And who do you think is stopping that play date? It's not Harry, it's not Meghan, it's Baldy and Mumbles. Like, come on. So yeah, I love this picture. I love it. I hope that girl is taken care of and not corrupted by her country's press machine that is very misogynistic, because like that's all you'll read. You won't necessarily, as a teenager, you're not going to necessarily link it to racism, but like the misogyny, the like next level attack of women. It's like it's communicating something to you that it's okay, it's appropriate to attack a woman at this rate, at this level, and her crime is like they can't even list them. But men who are doing real harm, real damage in the world at the same time as this woman is existing, they barely get a finger wag. It's like little girls and teenage girls and 20-something-year-old women are seeing that. They're seeing like how much, like, and it's like becoming normalized to them subconsciously that it is okay to treat women this way, this next level hateful way, and this is what you get. And I mean, that's what patriarchy wants. All of these people are hops. All these are helpers of patriarchy types. They're always, that's like kind of even the bottom line for a lot of this, in addition to the wanting to maintain the racial class system with the white power structure remaining intact. They also want to keep the male supremacist power structure unmessed with and intact, because it's just what they know. And so all of this discourages girls from being bold and brave and having feminist values. But I hope the little ones don't buy into it. I hope they remain strong, as strong, because little girls start out so much stronger than women become. That's hot take. Like, little girls are stronger in a lot of ways than women, because like they don't know the rules yet. They're just brave and doing what they want, and they don't really care about other people's opinions. They don't care like that yet, and then they get broken down over time and put in their place a million different times, a million different ways. Plus they watch girls and women get put in their place, and they don't even realize that's what they're watching, but they're learning through like how they see other women, or girls and other girls, other women, other female people get treated / mistreated. It's teaching them, know your place. So I hope she can, keep her, like, just what I know, like, little girls tend to have. I don't know this little girl, but I know what little girls tend to be like, and they're very strong. They start out very strong and brave and bold, and they definitely, logic prevails in this weird way with kids. They just, like, if you explain to them what happened with Meghan and Harry in a, like, very child-friendly way, they would, like, see it, like, for what it is. Like, the Queen's not perfect. Like, they wouldn't, in a way, sometimes, in some ways, they're, like, more wisdomful than adults, because adults, like, impart all these ridiculous, illogical, ironically, rules on themselves, like, that just make no sense. It just makes no sense that there's a woman in your country who lives off of your tax dollars, who lives off of inherited stolen wealth, who we're not allowed to criticize. And I do mean we, because Americans are also not allowed to criticize. I mean, we can, but we get hella backlash for it, right? Like, all the people in the beginning of these slides, like, attack, like, people, and just from my memories, because I didn't take pictures of all of it, but, like, Brits were so upset at Americans making fun of it, joking about it, making light of it, like, and I know it's a little different to, like, just be reveling in someone's passing, and, like, I wasn't doing anything like that, but I'm saying, people, like, through Meghan, and again, I don't think they're even that, like, they don't even mean it, but they are doing it still, but they are, because of Meghan, treating Queen Elizabeth like she's this sacred thing that no one can criticize and can do no wrong, and how if you even dare to, like, imply a criticism of, it doesn't even have to be directly of her, just the things she worked for and maintained, the institution she maintained, that's a criticism of her, and you're not allowed to do that when it's Meghan. Again, if Meghan was not a factor, I'm saying it again, this wouldn't even be a problem. They wouldn't care this much. They would barely care at all, because Charles did that. He called his mother cold and distant, and people barely cared. And they were like, yeah, I bet she is. Of course, yes. So, like, yeah. I mean, just English conditioning is like, they're just kind of cold compared to Americans. They're not as warm compared to Americans. And then add blue-bloodedness to that, royalty to that. It's like, yeah, it's going to be some, like, cold-ass coldness. And Diana was a problem for that reason. And people could acknowledge that, like, Diana was right to be warm, and Diana was beautiful and good to be warm. And they, if anyone were to criticize the Queen openly, who wasn't Meghan Markle, they would be fine with that for the most part. They would see the, like, truth in it. But Meghan, even daring to criticize the institution just by describing what they did, that's her criticism, by the way, is just describing their actions, is just unforgivable, and it's too much, and how dare she. That's like, you need to not exist. The monarchy needs to not exist if this is, like, what it condones, people being this psychotic and cruel and unreasonable and irrational and hypocritical, and they just let it happen. Charles, you criticized your mom, she was cold and distant, you called her that yourself, and you said you were raised the same way, and Harry said you told him and William well, I was raised with it, so you all have to be raised with it too. And Harry pointed out how absurd that is, and how, of course, if you see something wrong with rearing, you should change it. You should do everything in your power to make sure your kids don't go through what you did. That's what he said in his in the Me You Can't See with Oprah. And that of course is logical. I think a kid would get, who cares if a kid gets, no offense, but like that's not even important here. But like people being reasonable, neutral, honest would, like, of course that makes sense. Of course that's true. Of course it's not good for your parents to be cold and distant. Of course Harry's right. And of course Charles was right when he said it. He was right when he said that critique of his mother, that direct critique of his mom, your queen, deceased queen. He was right. And you know that, and most people probably agreed with him. And they certainly didn't hold it against him. Okay. But moving on. So this was a sweet picture where Harry and Meghan are holding hands. And someone, Danny APG posted that. And then I love this thing that Laura said, breaking. Turns out Twitter royalists are still angrier at Harry and Meghan than they are at the actual pedophile in the family. Make it make sense. Yeah, I mean, that's how intense racism and misogyny are. It's just like something about a woman being disobedient, and then especially if she's a woman of color. You know, white women get it when it's woman versus man, but white women will be uplifted Melania style, Kate Middleton style, when it's like white woman versus non-white woman. Then she'll get protected, which is what is happening with Meghan, and it's gross, it's bad, it's scary, because it's like, it's just part of the whole men can do no wrong, and women can like so easily do wrong, and the level just, the rage in people is just it's always been so much more intense for women doing very slight offenses that again are like debatable to even call offenses, versus men like destroying nations and, you know, sexually assaulting teenage girls who are trafficked. It's like for them it's like there's almost no rage at the really, really, really bad men of the world, and there's just an untethered, immeasurable amount of rage for women who are just like even annoying. Even just being annoying, it just makes people want to see her suffer and taken out. It's like so dangerous to be a woman in in the world, be a woman or a girl. It's like you're vulnerable just biologically, but then you're like vulnerable to public scrutiny in this very unique way, and it's like, and it's almost, it seems like impossible to come back from it, because once they've decided something like you're a narcissist, like it's like being accused of being a witch. Like, how are you gonna prove you're not? Like, now literally everything you do, they'll make an example of you showing your narcissism, and it's like, it is kind of so absurd. It's funny, but it's also very unfair and maddening and dangerous, because it, you know, some of these people are genuinely mentally ill, and they could do real harm to these targeted women because of this. Like, would it surprise anyone if some like Amber Heard hater, Johnny Depp stan, like physically attacked, like they were wishing for for Amber Heard, I just said her name, Amber Heard's death. If you just like type in Amber die, I think that's what I typed, and there were so many. Like, I hope she dies. Like, it's that extreme. It's like, it's so, and men have done so much worse than her, and they don't get that. They don't even get half of that. They don't even get a fraction of that. And it's just this terrible state that women live in. Anyway, moving on. And then I noticed again that the Go Home Meghan hashtag was trending again that same day. It's still the 11th, still anniversary of 9/11. and I was pretty consumed with this. There weren't very many discussions about 9/11 or memorials or anything. This was even kind of eclipsing American news, Queen Elizabeth dying, so yeah. But yeah, so, and then these are just the updates. It's like a lot of the same stuff still trending. Maybe a few new things I don't even remember at this point. But I feel like I've read this already, but I'll just read like one. She brings nothing but disharmony. I feel like I definitely read that before. And I particularly, and I am particularly perturbed by her palpable hatred for and jealousy of the Princess of Wales. It's actually quite frightening, and yeah, I think I read this before. And I think it unnerves Catherine. That's why, yes, I did read this before, because that's so absurd. Like, when has William ever shielded her from anyone, not to talk of Meghan? Like, this is just a completely made up set of ideas. Just you're perturbed by something that you say is palpable that is not even apparent. Like, there is no apparent hatred. Give an example, of course. This is the kind of thing I would respond to and get blocked. But this person, I bet you could not give an example of Meghan seeming to hate Kate, not to talk of expressing a hate that was palpable, or expressing jealousy of Kate. That's never happened. And then saying this thing that you've never seen. You're a liar, Edinburgh. But you're calling it quite frightening, yes. And I think it unnerves Catherine. It's like, what? It's like, it's such a like helpless white girl woman narrative they're trying to push with this kind of tweet. Like, Kate has never come off as unnerved. Like, I don't mean that in any way. It's not a compliment, that's not a dig. I just, like, she's never come off as unnerved by Meghan. Like what are you talking about? It's lie. This is a lie tweet. And then the next one from James Spiro. I recently finished Revenge by Tom Bower, that book that's been thoroughly debunked, filled with lies, and absurdities. Seeing Meghan there with, and this is like part of it. It's like speaking of Depp and Heard, it's like people needed, like, Amber had like actual evidence against Depp, and they said it was too much evidence, and they said it was also not enough evidence, and they just don't believe the evidence. And they needed to see, like, they would accept nothing short of like video footage of him beating her to believe that he was abusive. And that, these people probably wouldn't believe even that. They would be like, oh, well, she egged him on, or, oh, we didn't see the beginning. Yeah. So they, like, for men, they need, like, real proper evidence before they even consider believing that a man did a thing he's accused of. But with women, and this is with, like, all women, if they're accused of something, since I was a kid, this was a thing, especially if it's, like, a thing about her, like, sexual activity. It's like they believe it without even needing to. They don't need to verify it at all. You could just say, they just think it and they believe it. They just look at her from across the room and they're like, I bet she this, and like they believe the thing they thought in their head about women. And that's, like, again, the space women exist in, all women exist in, where people don't need proof or evidence for accusations against women. They can just, I could, if I wanted to, I can make a Meghan hate account, just make up, like, bullshit all day. I saw her in a coffee shop in Montecito. She, like, kicked a baby's cake pop out of their hand, and then she paid the mom, like, $50, and they would treat that story like it was real. I could just tweet that, and they would treat it like it was real. I could say, oh, I want to be anonymous because I'm afraid she'll sue me, and it doesn't matter. It's like, anyone could just lie about Meghan, and it's like super easy, and the deranged sect of her hate base, which is most of them, they will 100% believe it and push it, or they will not believe it and they'll push it. They'll not believe it at all. They'll recognize inside that it's absurd, but they will treat it like it's real because they hate her, and it's one more thing they can use to justify being cruel to her, and they can, being cruel to her again, the way they already want it to be, the way they already planned to be. There was never anything Meghan could have done to get that type on her side. And then I won't read anymore. Just this was trending, and these by the way are just called. This one is called Go Update 2. Because this was my second looking through of it. Okay, and then this one, the silver. I think this one I definitely. Wait, did I? Yeah, I think I read this earlier. But this is I think everything I think I might have read everything earlier, but they just have more likes now. Cause yeah, it was I like logged into Twitter again, and Go Home Meghan was trending again, and so I clicked on it, and these were just the ones that were up there, and most of them are ones that I had already seen, but they had more likes. So this silver synopsis is still there, and yeah, you can read it if you want, but I'm gonna move on. And then someone named Hong Konger said, "Is the racist card all Meghan's fans got? It's not her color, it's her lack of class." That's even more like obviously racist. What does that mean? Class is not a measurable thing. It's unquantifiable. It's a thing you just make up, and it usually is racist and connected to whiteness. It's usually like a code for not white enough, the people who are classless. Like, what does that mean? A Hong Konger. What does it mean to have class? Because like, and then even if it wasn't racist, even if Meghan were fully white, and it was like, let's say, like, because I do think a fully white version of Harry's wife would be attacked too, maybe just not quite as much, because she would just outshine, if she outshined Kate and William, like, she was just so likable or whatever, the media would attack her too, the white version of Harry's wife, the little brother's wife. So, race wouldn't be a discussion, but they would be attacking her, and I think, so when you say she lacks class, what does class mean? Like, do you, like, and then part of the problem of this is, like, to this person, because class is subjective, right? Like, it's not a measurable thing, like, oh, I did the test, you have 50% class, like, what? So it's like, it's whoever you decide has class, whoever you decide is classless, that doesn't, right? So to this person, someone with class can be a woman who, like, is quiet and takes abuse silently. Someone who, like, lets her husband cheat on her is someone they consider classy. So, like, that's what they could mean when they say this, is the problem with the concept of class. And a lot of subjective concepts, yeah. And then they said she doesn't want to fulfill her duties as the prince's wife. She did fulfill her duties with gusto. This is a lie. And then they say, but wants the fame and diamonds of a princess whilst disrespecting the royal family on a daily basis. She doesn't even talk about Harry's family like that, like, especially not on a daily basis, and she, like, this, she wants fame and diamonds. What are you talking about? Like, what does that mean? What is that a reference to? Because she's very low key, like, most of the time. She's like, you don't see her, and usually when you do, it's for a charity or something, and like, but she has a right and need and obligation in a way to take her name back, like the way it was before she was connected to Harry. She has a right and understandable want to like be herself again and be able to like have her identity back in the public sphere the way it once was. And I mean, it's probably never going to be that, but it's such a natural thing to want and to do and to like, but she doesn't even like talk about the British royal family very often, not to talk of on a daily basis. Like, how many times has she talked about them in like two years, in the last 2 years since she left? It's just, they just lie. They like, all the things they accuse her of, what they do, they lie like it's breathing. They just say these things, and then if you try to make them give you examples, they will block you, or they will not answer you, and they don't have to. The tweet already got the likes it craved, and possibly spread to very outside of the outside people who are not Sussex people, not Will and Kate fans, so they don't need to answer you. Yeah, so anyway, the next one says, true. Oh wait, they're responding to someone saying, we don't need a self-serving US actress pretending she's upset about the passing of our queen. And they used the hashtag, and then the person responded saying, true, she's one of the reasons why the queen's health worsened. Completely made up idea in this person's head. And they probably, again, are doing it deliberately, again, to justify the cruel treatment they want to enact on Meghan. And the rest of this goes, don't forget she just attacking the royal family last week, and everything she says, every word she says that even mentions the family is going to be called an attack, because these are the exaggerations in language they use to vilify women, especially women of color. It's what they do. They're just geeked that Go Home Meghan is trending, and it was. That's why I took these pictures, because it was trending. And they're called Untitled Princess Pinocchio. Oh, stripped Untitled. Oh, I see. Yes, okay, very clever. Okay, moving on. And then there's, yeah, I definitely took that screenshot already. The witch flying, that's supposed to be Meghan, with the hashtag, and just a gif of that, and no words, just the hashtag, okay. And then Meghan's mole, one of her biggest haters, said Meghan needs to go back to America and be with her children. Her presence is not required in the UK. And I think I might have read this earlier. I feel like I could feel this is a repeat of my annoyance at the sentiment behind this, which is just the impropriety of it, of like a random stranger who is not in this family at all telling someone who is in the family to go home, and we don't need you. Like, God, who like, talk about narcissism and delusions of grandeur. Like, again, every accusation is a confession, because who the fuck are you, Meghan's mole? Like, she gets to be there, and I think, holy crap, I think Meghan's mole, okay, no, she didn't say we, okay, she didn't say, is not required in the UK. For a minute I was remembering that as, we don't want you here. But, because I'm pretty sure I saw Meghan's mole video before, and she's not English, because that would have been, but then, like, it's still extra wild, though, because this is, like, I think an American, maybe Canadian, saying, like, trying to dismiss Meghan, like, your presence isn't required here in the UK, like, you have no say in this matter, like, who are you, like, you crazy outsider telling her to go home, like, insane. These people are genuinely deranged. And then this one from Victoria saying, Catherine and William, you both deserve the highest of highest respect. I disagree. Next is this Harry's Gray Suit, that's another kind of big account, I think, for hate. I'm trying to get that vision of them out of my head by reposting it and talking about it a lot. Yeah, okay, idiot. I can't believe she had the audacity to be there again. I can't believe that you think that you get a say in who of the Queen's grandchildren's spouses gets to be there. I can't believe you would think that any of them wouldn't be there. And then they list off things that Meghan did not do, but again, they don't need proof. Again, I could say she, ate a baby's cake pop in a Starbucks, and they would say, yep, it happened because this anonymous Twitterer said it. But okay, the things are: bullied Charlotte, check, she didn't. Bullied staff, check, I doubt it. No evidence, no examples. Like, if you're being neutral, you would at least ask for examples. If someone said Kate bullied staff, these people would be demanding examples. Definitely. Trashed Catherine. What? No, she didn't. No, she didn't. Like, oh, they're such liars. And if you ask, this is the kind of account where if you ask for examples of any of this, they will block you. Trashed Catherine, I already said that. No, she didn't, but yeah. Send her goons to attack Louis. The fuck? Okay. I haven't heard of that one. I haven't read this, I guess, because that's new to me. I haven't heard of that accusation, and I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that's bullshit. Lied on Oprah. She didn't lie. I need to make a video about all the lies that she didn't tell on Oprah. Trashed royal family, just vague, harsh word of trashed. Like Meghan saying, I didn't like the soup in England. They would call that trashing England. That's the kind of people these are. Just complete drama kings and queens, and liars. No, she did not trash them in the Cut article. Trashed family on her podcast. She didn't trash them there either. She won't. This person, Harry's Gray Suit, they will not provide examples. It's probably why they eventually turned off the comments. That's a noteworthy thing, because there are 209 responses, and the response thing is grayed out. I'm guessing a lot of people responded with like inquiries about like, when did she do this one? When did she do that one? And Harry's Gray Suit was like, shut up, and then turned off the ability to respond. Because that's what they do. That's like their pattern. They never back up any of their accusations. They don't need to, because it would ruin because then they would just be like super exposed as the monsters that they are. But in the meantime, they're just going to they're just going to make up a million fake reasons that they hate her so hard, that are not rooted in truth. That's their MO. Anyway, then there's this I just happened upon. I can't remember how, but it's someone called Maggie Mob Rules, and I just wanted to note these tweets from Maggie in particular, because I'm assuming it's a she, has this habit of calling Meghan an it. So, like, again, height of dehumanization, the kind of thing I feel like you should lose your account for. It's just, this is dangerous. It's like low-key, the genuinely dog whistling kind of racism. But, like, is it even dog whistling to just call a human woman an it? But yes, so here she says, being the great actress that it is, I'm sure my sentiment will be well understood. Break a leg. That was to and about Meghan. And then someone was responding, I guess, to it. So Angela Levine, and they said she appeared to be holding on to the flowers taken from the crowd to get her moment, laying them at the castle gates. There is great footage of her snapping at the aides who tried to take them from her, Harry, then telling her to hand them over. Yeah, no, that did not happen. This is again a dishonest. I don't know if this person is just stupid or if they're a liar. But this is a dishonest reframing of how Meghan, I don't have that footage, but of how Meghan, she took, someone gave her flowers to go put on the thing, the gates for the Queen, and then one of the aides, who is likely working against her, by the way, but an aide who is like, it's supposed to be William's new social media coordinator. He has the job that Jason Knopf, her old betrayer, which is like who I think a lot of that, when she said stuff like in the cut that it's still too painful, because she like, and then like reading those old emails and the old text she had with Jason Knopf, the relationship seemed very like, she was very like kind of servile, like she was very like, you could see the people pleaser-ness in her exchanges with him, and like being so polite, and she just had this like this energy of like trusting him. And then this would turn out to be the same guy who like tried to help the Daily Mail like hurt her in court, and he lost because again it was a very open shut case. But instead of again William and family being on her side, the side of their family member, you can't just expose letters, correspondence between royal family. And this is a letter that the family like urged her to write, because this was the point where her father was starting to badmouth the royal family in the press, and it was embarrassing them and making them look bad, and they were like coming down on Harry for his wife not controlling her very weird, unstable, inappropriate father. And again, he had been like bad-mouthing her in the press for a couple of months at that point, but they didn't mind that, or at least they didn't speak up at that point. It was when he started bad-mouthing the royal family, their royal family, that they like were like, okay, you need to like tell your wife to like put a leash on her dad or whatever. And so Harry was like, coming to her, apparently about like, they're really coming down on me. And so she worked with Jason Knopf and like ran the idea past him that maybe she'll write a letter, and she like, acknowledged it could leak. He could leak it. He could, share it, whatever, but I'll write it in a way that would make it unappealing for him to leak it. And this is like, by the way, because they keep using this argument, or well, they use this and say like she wanted it to leak. That doesn't, like, she numbered it and everything in case it leaked, because she didn't want it to leak. These are the measures you take because she's hoping it doesn't, because she's trying to discourage her father, who is clearly not a trustworthy individual, from leaking it and following his worst impulses. Oh, he's such a god. That was, anyway. So she did all that, and then they leaked it. It was her IP, I think, considered her intellectual property. Jason Knopf, he got, William sent him there to, say, oh, actually, technically she ran the letter past me, so it was kind of both of ours. So, technically I had, copyright to that letter too. And then they're like, no. And then they're like, can you prove that you, helped write it or something? And then he, spent, a year saying, oh, hold on, I'm looking for proof. Then he had none. And the only thing he offered was, that he had run by her the bit about meeting with the writers of Finding Freedom, which was just completely irrelevant to the case. And it was, that was an exchange she didn't recall. And, did she? I don't know. I can see in the turmoil of all that how she wouldn't have, it really stuck out to me how, her and Serena are good friends, and this thing happened where like Archie's like a heater in her son's room caught fire, and she hadn't told Serena about it. She hadn't shared that, because it's like I'm really thinking of being in her position. Like, so much must have been happening, and what was it? There was something I read. It might have been in her emails, but like there was this point during that trial with the Daily Mail where like I think there was an email where she like, I don't know, she came off as like starting to become paranoid about who she could trust, and like realizing certain people who seemed to be on her side weren't. And like, because I think they were giving her these like perfunctory, dishonest answers when she would say, well, can I clear up this rumor? Can I clear up that rumor? And they're like giving her the, oh, we don't complain. You can't clear that up. Like, let it ride. It's, not a big deal, whatever. And she's thinking they're saying that in good faith. And then I think she slowly realized these people are not on her side, and they're wanting the negative rumors to fester and spread, because this is all part of them building the character assassination plot. I didn't say that right. This is all part of them assassinating her character. That's what I mean to say. And I think she was very trusting of Harry's family, and she didn't realize what was going on until very late in the game. And that's what that was, because, and I think that's what she's referring to about the pain, because that she did say in the article that, like, are you gonna like write a book or whatever, and she's like, it's still too painful. And I can just feel how that would feel. I can feel like trusting, because I think of how I perceived William as an outsider, and maybe Megan had a little bit of that as an outsider, like, oh, he's normal and good. And then she, and to her face he would be like nice, but then like, but he would be doing things that are like questionable. And like, maybe she was hearing through the grapevine, oh, William and his staff, I heard him having a conversation. But imagine a British accent. And Megan, I just want to tell you, like, maybe one of her aides said he like was saying this about you, and they were saying this, and they were laughing, because like that leaked too, that William and his aides would like make fun of Megan. Like, so I can only imagine, and I only have like an idea of what she experienced, and I feel like she came in there very trusting, and she has this very trusting nature. And, and I think maybe Harry also had a bit of naivete about him, about his family, and the lengths they were willing to go. And I think she was, like, shocked at a point to realize and learn, maybe they both were, that Harry's family is actually not very nice, and they actually don't have her best interest at heart. And that was what she was alluding to when she said, the recalling it all was still quite painful, and like she was just going through so much. That's why I can believe because she was going through so much, and the way you are when you're talking to long distance friends, because Serena's all the way in California, Megan's in England, doing thing after thing, experiencing thing after thing. She and it might have even not felt that big after the fact. She told it from beginning to end, so we feel it a certain way. But like with everything else happening, and then after, oh, but it's fine afterwards. It's like she might have not even registered that as oh, I have to tell my friends that this happened, like the fire, which did happen, by the way, because that's another thing they've added that to the list of lies. But no, it's been confirmed, and that. A huge thing about that makes me so angry and sad is I'm sad and angry thinking about it. That didn't leak. That story did not leak. They didn't, and the reason it didn't leak was not because the Royal Rota didn't know about it. The reason there weren't articles about this, because they were writing articles about everything. They were writing articles about Megan at that point. I remember she was just in the news so much at that point, in those post Archie's birth, that then I was a bit more aware of the media just constantly reporting about her. And so to know that they knew that, and like staffers knew that Archie's room, a heater caught fire in Archie's room, that happened, and like it caught fire for real and caused smoke to bellow out of the room, and it melted the heater. And the official, like, there's an article about it, like what a witness says, like how it was like a crumpled melted heap when they took it out of Archie's room and they had to be moved to a new house, they had to be rehoused, because now the place they were staying in was like, it smelled of smoke. And you can just see the manipulative way they frame things, like first of all casting doubt, because they have to, and this is like all seemingly part of the British royal family's strategy, is to cast doubt on her early and often, so when she finally does tell all, they can say, oh, but remember, she's a liar, guys. Remember the thing we've been saying for like the last 2 and 3 and 5 years? She's totally a liar, so don't believe any of this. That's what they have to do. And I think a good portion of the people calling her a liar, they don't actually think she's a liar. They just hate her, and they need to cast her as the villain because it's the only way they can justify their racist hatred towards her. And so it didn't leak, and that's the fact that it didn't leak, it's so deliberate. Knowing how much they would write about her, again, including stories at that time made up about her, and how that would have definitely just had clicks just because it mentioned her. And like, that means they deliberately decided not to share a story about her that would make her at all seem sympathetic. That was a choice. That was an extremely evil choice, because they, like, you know, the family's telling Meghan and Harry, you can't talk about this, you can't clear up rumors. They're telling, and then the Royal Rota, who would, you know, depending on how you sway them, how they feel about you, they would leak stories about you, sometimes positive, sometimes negative, but in Meghan's case, all negative, and often dishonest or embellishments or twisting, like the whole Kate made, or Meghan made Kate cry. And then she's like, they'll do stuff like that, underhanded stuff like that, and then she's told officially, though, to her face, like, oh, we don't clear up rumors, we don't address, we don't complain, we don't explain. But then she would see all around her, like positive stories are being leaked about other family members, and she's probably just playing it cool, like trying to play her role of like, okay, I'm gonna just follow the rules, because that's another thing she seems to be a big like stickler for, is like at least for the big rules, the direct rules, like so she did that. But oh yeah, so all of that I was saying was like, that's who. So like her memory is, you know, like her experience with William's last social media coordinator is a man who pretended to be her friend and then tried to help her enemies in court, who was sicked upon her by her brother-in-law. And she has to play smiley and gracious in front of those people, or she looks like the bad one who they're already vilifying, and on top of that, the like angry black woman, and I know she's not fully black, but that doesn't matter to a racist. And so that now this is the new Jason Knopf, but I forget his name, but he has that same job, and he's approaching her. And you know, instead of like, I mean, she was gracious. She explained to him, oh, this lady gave me, you know, she didn't say this lady, but she said, this lady gave me this, and I'm gonna like hand it off later or something. And then they took that video of her responding to this guy, and they're forcing this you can see they have an agenda, because that, like, no sane person would watch that clip and go like, oh my god, how dare she, but they were all like, oh my god, how dare she. And she looks so sweet and like normal, and like she just explained, oh, I'm gonna hold on to these. So this Tracy person is saying she wanted to hold on to them for glory. Like, what are you, she's already all up in the spotlight right now, like, what are you talking about? And there's no footage of her even laying those flowers. Like, okay. So, but this person responded to Tracy and said what I was thinking, which was, I saw a polite conversation where she smiled and indicated she'd hold on to them. None of us know what was actually said, but there was no snapping at the aides. Sick, right? Because you didn't spell it right. Okay. Evident. And it's like, yeah, I mean, yes, this person, Tear Rose, is right. Like, I just, they're such liars. They're so manipulative. They just, everything Megan does, like, did I mention this? Like how they called her expression a smirk? And then they just invent things like, it's like the most unsafe thing for women is the fantasies that they are in, like, the heads of racists and misogynists. Because, like, they just fantasize about what she's thinking, what she's feeling. They like, get it from, this is why it's this weird thing about, I don't, like, women are, like, white women are privileged, certainly, in many ways. But, I don't know, because, like, we can acknowledge when it's, like, people of color and you constantly depict them in negative ways, how that can, like, potentially be dangerous for them. But, like, with women, it's like that doesn't get acknowledged, but I think it should, because I think, like, all these years of, like, the mean girl trope, that story that writes itself in soap operas of, like, the conniving woman who moves into town and, like, is the gold digger, is the social climber, is, like, Cruella de Vil is, like, clasping her hands in the corner and maniacally laughing. There's just very unreal type of woman who exists. It's like, and that kind of woman is, like, that one's not real. Like, the woman who needs to experience that treatment is the man who needs to experience that treatment, which is racist women and racist men. But they don't really get that. Like, the evil, conniving woman is, like, she's not often racist. Well, sometimes she is, but she's usually not racist. That conniving woman trope, it's not about race. It's about, like, just this stereotype of a bad woman, which is the manipulator, the gold digger, all of these things. And it's really bad. It's because, like, that's what they're, like, drawing from. That's why it's so easy to call her a conniving manipulator. It's easy to just fantasize and imagine she's, like, secretly jealous of Kate and wanting to be the queen. Like, girl, like, you people think so small. You're so dumb. Like, and it's, like, part of it too, I think, is projection. I think a lot of these, especially the British ones who, like, romanticize royalty, they're, like, just talking about their own feelings, their own girlhood feelings of, like, easy to jealousy, secretly wanting to be the queen, and then they're, like, projecting them onto Meghan. It's like, not everyone is crazy like you and sees these roles as glamorous, especially when you experience them, like, actually experience them from behind the scenes, really, like, being a duchess, princess, queen. It's not what it's cracked up to be. It's not what it is on paper. And you fucking saw Diana hate it and describe hating it, and you're still so stupid and acting like a little kid about these titles and about what women must want. And Meghan has just never come off as that. She's never said anything that implied she was a princess or royalty chaser. Quite the opposite. And her actions followed. She left that. She didn't say, oh, I'll be a princess at any cost. And so they just invent, because they have to. They have to vilify her, and so they invent this villain narrative for her of, like, secretly wanting this and that. Like, they're mind readers. and it's like everyone just eats it up, and it just is so easy to push because it's like women be conniving. Oh, and then it's okay, some more Maggie of calling Megan an it. This one says, cleared my timeline of it. Phew. The next one says, damn it, damn it, damn it. Made a promise day after Queen's passing to ghost it. Look at this one-sided rivalry she has. Like, Megan doesn't even know you exist, you psycho. So fecking easy to get drawn back in. Gonna delete every comment and tweet about her. Oh, she used her for that one. Right now. Okay, and then this one, she's responding to someone who says, she pushed her way in. The media would be given heads up about who is going. She was not meant to be there. And then this person links something, which by the way is not true. They just, everything bad that they could make up, they made up. They just, like, they saw Megan there, and then the stories immediately wrote themselves, oh, Megan, she wasn't even supposed to be there. They told her not to go, and that's not what happened. They made that up. And then a random person tweeting this to Maggie Mob Rules is considered confirmation. Because she says, confirmation that it barged in. Never meant to be there. Look at the BBC tagline. Just a made-up story, a made-up narrative to serve the greater narrative that she's a villain, and to make it justified when racists like Maggie Mob Rules calls her an it. Then this is one of Maggie just delighting in the fantasy that Harry and Meghan are going to divorce soon. And it says, divorce is imminent, place your bets. This is what she was tweeting when her beloved queen passed. These people don't care about the queen. Every royal figure, every British royal figure, for 99% of these people just represents not Meghan, anti-Meghan. So they're going to oversell their grief, oversell everything because they hate her that hard, because they're that racist. Just keep that in mind. And then next is people responding to Maggie, saying, I see one or the other. What? Being hospitalized. The fuck? And, sorry, what is this? And the other grabbing the silver as they run. Wait, the children. Well, I guess it depends on who gets the white jacket. Okay, so this one fantasizing about some sort of psychotic breakdown in the Sussex home, and one of them going to jail, and one of them going to a mental institution. Okay, yeah, these are just normal, neutral. These are the good guys, everybody. I hope. Okay, someone's saying, I hope so. Fingers crossed. That's like what so many have been wanting, for them to get divorced. And then Libby Thomas responds with, of course, too many emojis. That's kind of their thing, remember, of laughing, and says, footage crest? Maybe they meant guest. I have difficulty searching the web for driving directions. The monkey emoji with the hands over the eyes. And another unnecessary laughing emoji. You know when you're talking to a low IQ person when they overuse the emojis. It's just, they go hand in hand. I don't know why. And then this person, Amy, saying the end is near. Again in reference to Meghan and Harry divorcing. Tickles them. And then more of this, more responses. Maximum 2 years, although I would be really surprised if it took that long. Once the kids have titles, Harry's days are numbered. And then someone responds exactly. This is, all based off of a fantasy of who Meghan is in their heads. And then this person guesses 6 months for their divorce. Someone called Jaya Selly or Seeley. And then someone else says hope so again. Someone called social comment. And then someone called Megan Johnston says hell yeah. And yeah. And then another what is this? Oh, this is more responses, I think, to the same tweet where someone responded to Maggie saying, "Thank goodness Megan is not coming." That's a very weird piece of merch to buy. Anyway, and then Maggie, this is just a different tweet of Maggie's that says, "As for me, I'm gonna delete all references to stupid pod craps and all of its nonsense, and no way am I playing will it, won't it be at funeral." This was September 9th, so she didn't know yet. This, like, I shouldn't care, but it's funny because she was, and haha. But yeah, so then goes on to say it was banned from Balmoral. So as for the funeral, Lizzie let her feelings known. Thank goodness M is not coming. Yeah, those are this racist lady's feelings. Unsurprising. I mean, people like this used to do way worse, so sometimes it's like, yeah, okay. And then this is a tweet from Perez Hilton, who is like, I found out, not that recently, but somewhat recently, that he does not like Meghan Markle. And then, or he says here, an invitation to Meghan was not extended, royal sources are now confirming. Was that the right decision? I don't... Yeah, okay, let me just read this response from according to Taz, one of Meghan's biggest haters and profit makers off of her name. She says, only last week, Meghan threatened the monarchy and, by extension, the Queen, of continuing to sing her song of bullshit to The Cut magazine, of which the writer has been let go. That's not true. She's a liar. No, you're a liar, Taz. And no doubt added to the pressure and stress to our already frail Queen, who you don't actually care about, and you're being performative because you are racist. It's okay to criticize the British royal family, and then on top of that, it's not reasonable to say someone should not criticize a family that mistreated them because the most privileged senior monarch is gonna feel sad or be upset. Like, again, Queen Elizabeth lived through a lot of stuff to upset her. I don't think that Meghan really got to her like that, and I don't think anything Meghan did was even like that. It wasn't like anything that would be reasonable to upset a woman who's dealt with a lot worse, a lot more direct criticism from her blood. So this is all just made up. It's all bullshit to justify being cruel to her. I must have said that 100 times now. But I'm just gonna go on. From Glenn Atherton, he says, she has only known... This is so annoying and creepy to read. She has only known our royal family for 4 years, and in that time, probably seen Her Majesty a handful of times, okay? She has no reason to be there, no reason to mourn or have grief. Time for her brand of service to leave the UK. There's no invite for a return. The welcome mat has been taken in, said a crazy person who doesn't know this family, who is not in this family, who has only known of them as an outsider of on the outside of the outside, and I'm assuming has never even met these people, not to talk of knows them. Meghan knows them. Meghan is in that family. She is the wife of the fifth in line, I think. And she is the wife of one of the Queen's grandchildren. She's part of that family. You fucking psycho. Okay, and then I think Lady Bird responded saying she was welcome. They always say this. And I mean, technically it's true. She was welcomed by some, but not by this type. I've been arguing with this racist mob for like since the beginning, since like the day them dating was leaked. Like it's been arguments non-stop. Like, and they've been saying the same things but altering it slightly, and now the big offense is the Oprah interview, and they were just making up she doesn't follow protocol, she doesn't respect the Queen, she doesn't respect our tradition, she didn't let Archie have that pisses me off, because it just shifts. Like I was arguing with people who would say she didn't want Archie to have a title because she didn't want him to outshine her, because that was the story that people were reporting. And then it turns out, she told us in the Oprah interview, it wasn't her decision. And then it becomes, oh, so you do want him to have a title. Oh, well, that is also bad. So there's no winning for Meghan when it comes to the racist. So, yeah, anyway, this person says she was welcome, not by you, by others. She then made herself unwelcome. Okay, victim blaming. She said she would serve Her Majesty, and she did better than most in that family in the span of time she was there, but decided she needed to be served. Well, I don't know what that means. Like, does this mean she needed like mental health care, and she needed to not be vilified by the media and have her kid vilified while the family did nothing? Is that what you mean by served? And then they say she was treated with kindness by some and harshness by, I'm like, sorry, I'm not reading this because I'm adding my thoughts, but I'm not reading it verbatim because I'm adding my thoughts, but yeah, she was treated with kindness by some, not by your type, not by racists. They go on to say, but decided to be unkind. This is like a lot of like just vague statements, no specifics, no examples. It was like just reading that back all on its own. She was treated with kindness, but decided to be unkind. What does that mean? She was kind throughout the whole thing, smiley, pleasant, performed the duties, performed them with gusto, was like so like into the charity part of it, and like wanting to meet everyone she worked with, and like staying extra. Oh, that's like the woman who worked with her on SmartWorks. This is what she said, and she was just so into that aspect of it, and she was so like into like getting to know all the women for like what is it called? Was it no, not Well Kitchen. I'm thinking of Well Child. Something kitchen. Oh, the Hub Community Kitchen. Yeah. And she everything she approached, she did it with gusto, and she was like smiles and like competent and eloquent when she spoke, and she like did her research, and she really put the work in as much as like a royal is allowed to. And then they like they lie about any of that happening. They pretend none of it happened and reframe it as, oh, she wanted to be like lazy, like Kate who barely did anything in her first like 7 years of marriage. She was a part-time senior royal, getting all the perks and pay of a full-time royal, but doing barely anything. People used to actually criticize her about this, call her work shy, and she would promise every year the big keening every year to be more keen next year and work harder, and then she like did hard work for a royal for like 1 year, and now she's saying I want to go back to my kids. Okay, and that you don't criticize. This is what I'm talking about. It's the Meghan factor, the racist factor, like, because they barely minded Kate being lazy. And then, like, Meghan comes in, outshines her almost effortlessly because Kate worked so infrequently. And then now they're like, but they can't shame her for being a hard worker. So they just completely lie and say, oh, she didn't want to work at all. Like, just lie about her whole history, her actual life, observable, documented life in the royal family. They say she actually didn't want to work, and she wanted to be served. And then, of course, if you ask them, what do you mean, they will not answer, or they will block you. And everything was laid at her feet. How was because she wasn't even getting paid. What was always the implied plan, as Harry understood it and would make sense, is that the only two children of the next in line were one part of the slimmed down monarchy, so naturally their wives would be part of it, whoever they married. And suddenly when Harry marries a mixed race woman, all of that seems to change. They don't even want to give their technically mixed offspring titles, and now they're saying they, like in the beginning, they can't pay her and maybe she should consider acting. And how would that have looked? People were already calling her too Hollywood, but they're saying she should act. Like, there was a rejection actually from the beginning. So in what way was everything laid at her feet? What does that mean? How was because it's the opposite actually. It wasn't. They made it hard for her, and she persevered still with all of the little obstacles they threw. And she still was shiny and bright. And then so you had to manufacture stuff. You had to start making stuff up in the media. And if you really cared about getting to the truth and what and cared about biased media, people would call it the very obvious contract that the Continental BRF has with the media, like all of the UK media, all of the Aussie media that used to criticize them and now doesn't. Like, you want to talk about PR, you want to talk about an unfair I guess PR machine and a biased media, but you don't want to call that out. You just want to say anytime some American publication writes anything positively about Meghan, that's her PR. But all of this isn't. All of the positive headlines for William and Kate, and endless negative ones for Meghan and Harry that's just a coincidence. Like, these people are so unserious. They're not honest. They're not. This is not about finding the truth or being honest or actually caring about a fair journalism and giving Meghan a fair shake. These people are racist, and they're just hiding behind everything and anything. Look at how vague this is. Everything was laid at her feet. Couldn't name one thing if you asked this person. I promise you, I bet you a stupid amount of money they couldn't. Laid at her feet how? For her to succeed. The opposite. Harry and Meghan experienced it. They lived it. They saw it. If that were true, they would still be there. Okay. Now history will not have a kind word for her, I'm sure. The racists will not have a kind word. They never intended to, but normal, sane people, officially, all the blue check marks that are not tied to right-wingism and all these fucked up ideas, they see Meghan positively. So, and her objective history, which I kind of always think of as what do they say about you on Wikipedia? How are you described on Wikipedia? Her objective history has many kind words for her. It's just facts, and it's not her history is not tied to the crazies, the body language guy and the misogynist, every other right-wing analyzer who is very dishonest and manipulative. It's normal people, and it's sane people who know how to have reasonable conversations about whatever the topics she brings up on her podcast or whatever she says in her interviews. It's anyway, this is just one of those dishonest, vague tweets by a racist. But yeah. More from Maggie, where she says, hate to mention them, but reports from people around them are of a huge fight when it was told it couldn't go to Balmoral. It delayed H by over an hour. No need to respond, simply filling you in. Of course, this person does not hate to mention Meghan. They're obsessed with Meghan and obsessed with dehumanizing Meghan. And you know, to be honest, this is just to be expected. From this kind of racist, it's just like, yeah, you hate Meghan, we get it. There was never any version of Meghan that you were not going to hate. So, alright, good luck with that, because she's still your superior. But moving on. Oh god, more of her. I guess I wanted to document it, because that's like usually what I'm thinking is like, just so there are receipts, you know. So okay, let's read some of these. Honestly, I take comfort in having met you all. Thank you. For today I may leave you, unless sorrow overcomes me. Okay. Overcomes me again. Oh. But it is my partner's birthday today, and we're trying to cheer up a bit. And then another one says, Sussex Squad, please feel free to be on our wonderful, love-filled community timeline and to comment. It makes it much easier to locate and block you. Thank you for that. Much love. And then she says, for those who have DM'd me, too timid to openly admit they feel anger in their grief, I will speak out for you on this community timeline. You have good cause. It's natural. No one can blame you. Take heart from that double rainbow and bide your time. Much love to all. I think this was upset at Meghan being there. These people are crazy. This alone, that this family inspires this, should be why the monarchy is abolished. Like, this is so unhealthy. This is an unhealthy level of attachment and worship. Next. So, Rebecca English tweeted this lie, saying, Harry and Meghan viewed the floral tributes, but only William and Kate stayed to meet the public. That was a lie, as it turns out. So shocking, right? So then these are just pictures contradicting that, but this is just this is the order that I took everything, every screenshot. So these are pictures of that being directly defied. Oh, I love seeing Meghan with the kids. Kids are so like perfect. They don't have that bullshit in them. And like, oh, they just see her and smile. Yeah, that's the Duchess you girlies need to follow, and you boys, but I know it's harder for boys to be feminists. Okay, yeah. And then the togetherness of this, I just like it. They were so lock and step, and you know, especially contrasted with Kate and William. They were like, she was like veering off into another galaxy. It was so wild. Like, they like don't even try to hide. Well, like, okay, I don't want to speculate too much, but it seems like they don't like each other. They're not affectionate like they used to be in their marriage, which is, I mean, that's a them problem. They'll sort that out however they see fit, but I just appreciate how unified Meghan and Harry were, especially contrasted with Kate and William's body language, because it was wild. It was weird. Like, she didn't even want to be like there. Okay, whatever. It happened. Next. Oh my God, there is more Maggie. Look, I took too many, but whatever. What does she say here? She's responding to someone who says The Guardian, saying that that is quite puzzling. Okay, The Guardian saying that is quite puzzling, and then Maggie responded, at least King Charles is on their cover. And then a random tweet from Maggie saying, serious moment, if you have genuine concerns about any type of threat against UK or royals, you can inform security services on whatever this link is. And then just randomly tweeting deport Meghan as a hashtag, which again, spoiler alert, that did not happen. Meghan is still free to travel between America and the UK and stayed there for the entirety of the Queen's funeral. And, or, yeah, I guess called the whole mourning period. I guess she stayed there for the mourning period and the funeral, yeah. Then this again, I guess. Maybe I took this picture because of the likes. How, like, I think it was a lot less before, I think. But I'm pretty sure I took this picture before. But, okay. Wait, what is it called? Oh, I wrote, okay, I can just read why did I take this? It says, the hug and likes for the hug. Okay, yeah, that's what this, screenshot is titled. Okay. And then this, Sophie Corcoran is so annoying. And a racist, just another racist, not the hands-on kind of racist, but the angry at a mixed woman being in the position she's in racist and using a million dishonest excuses to justify her hatred. Because this is not a reasonable reaction at all. This is not a reaction I would imagine she would have for any fully white woman. But anyway, she says, in response to someone called Chris Evans saying, I honestly did not realize how bad the racism is in the UK was until Meghan Markle. And then Sophie responds, the British don't dislike Meghan Markle because of her race. We dislike her because she's trashed our country and our royal family. Our dislike for her is perfectly justified. It is not. She did not do either of those things. If, like, again, if by trashed you mean criticized, she did not even do that. She didn't criticize England. She could have and should have, but she didn't, and that wouldn't be a reason to justify hating her or disliking her. And then the other accusation, she trashed the royal family. She didn't even do that. So it's very telling when, you know, if you're a neutral person and you know the history of the royal family, the British royal family, you know that they're very, they haven't treated past wives well. You saw it with Fergie, you saw it with Diana, and so for yet another one to describe not great treatment, that she didn't even really indict anyone, she just described what she experienced, described why she was leaving. She didn't, like, trash anyone. She didn't say, like, Kate's such an idiot and William's a bitch. She didn't. That would be like trashing. She just described her experiences, and they weren't great. And she described, like, the plan to not give her kid titles, and described that there were concerns with members of the family, or with a member of the family, about how black, or like noticeably black, her kid would look. And, like, so to hear someone say that, and then instead of going, oh my gosh, like, I wish they had changed, or I thought they had changed, to instead, like, turn on her and go, how dare you, and just, like, umbrella that as trashing and just be against her, that's, like, so telling of a racist. Like, that's not a reasonable reaction to have to someone describing something that has been an observable pattern that is not shocking at all to even learn when you think about it, what the royal family is, how classist of a country England is. So, like, why would Sophie just, like, automatically side against Meghan just for telling that, with Harry, who is, you know, vouching for her and sharing his own stuff, and instead of, like, thinking, like, oh yeah, of course there would be members that would not fully accept her, like, because the reason, let me just tell you, is Sophie is one of them who didn't accept her, who is a racist, and who is one of those people who hides behind this bullshit that she can never, because, like, several people responded to this asking her for examples of how Meghan trashed the royal family and how she trashed England, she did not respond. She couldn't give an example. Because it's like, it's so, I hate when people, this like shouldn't be allowed. If you make a claim, it should be like a legal requirement. If you make a claim, you should legally have to defend it with something factual or at least logical, like a reasonable interpretation of why you believe the thing you're accusing or claiming. Because you just like this, like even if you're not a racist and maybe you just don't like women, or you just don't like Meghan, or you're right wing and just like her being pro-choice is enough for you not to like her, that's believable. So if you're coming from that place, if you don't have any like racial bias, is what I'm saying, you would if you're honest though, you would at least acknowledge that some people are racist in your country. And so that is also a tell that they never acknowledge that part. Like they always say, none of it is racism. All of it is reasonable, very reasonable, justified reasons for this hate. Like you're telling me in all of England there aren't racists. Of all her hate base, none of the people of the hate base are racist. Even like it's such a unrealistic thing to even push or to think that no one is racist in the BRF and no one is racist in England, and to even suggest that anyone could like her, or sorry, that anyone could dislike her for prejudice reasons is absurd. Even though we've seen them, like we saw an MP's girlfriend get caught in the very beginning of Harry and Meghan's relationship, like saying, ugh, it's gross that, he's dating a black woman and I don't want mixed kids in the royal family. And she, like, so that was right at the beginning. The Straight Out of Compton thing was in the beginning. The niggling feeling from, worded by Sarah Vine was in the beginning. The more recent one was Dan Wooten's, the British family must remain whiter than white. Then the Metro Police, and then there's how you treated your footballers when they let you down. In a way, if they were all white, you would not have started attacking their race. But a bunch of the English footballers, like a year ago, they didn't make the goals in the World Cup last year or something, and there was just an avalanche, a deluge of racist attacks on them. It was so bad that William had to tweet that the treatment was what did he say? It was bad. He called it. He was like, he condemned it. He publicly condemned it on Twitter. And he's like, I think he had to, because he attended this match, and he attended the match wherein they lost, and I think George was there in a suit, I believe, and I think Kate was there too, and yeah, England lost, and so I think maybe because he felt tied to it for that reason, plus he had just had this whole debacle with the way his family and seemingly he treated Meghan, seemingly for her racial makeup. Who, that face that Archie's christening, okay, but so he had to he couldn't even look like he was supporting it, so he openly condemned it. I remember Piers Morgan did, and I just remember thinking, this is also performative. These dudes, they don't give a fuck about, they were probably joining in behind the scenes with the racist lights, come on. So yeah, but so you have racists in your country, clearly. And what was the other one I was going to say? Oh, the big one, the Metro Police, because this specifically referenced Meghan. They called her the N-word. They made racist joke after racist joke about her. Their group chat was exposed, presumably by one of the police officers, perhaps a good one of the few good ones in that batch. But their group chat was exposed, and it was just filled with them making a bunch of racist and misogynistic jokes, and many directly referencing Meghan Markle. So what are you talking about, Sophie? Like, racists exist in your country. Racists are part of the group that hates Meghan. And I would just go out on a limb and say most of the people who hate Meghan are racist because there is not a logical reason to hate her, especially to this degree. Like, that's the big one. To, like, feel like, I don't care for her. I can understand that, but, like, the intensity of hate, the obsessive hate, the calling her it, the you tweeting this, you being so upset that she's there, like, this is not a normal reaction. This is racism meets xenophobia. I'm sure her being American doesn't help, but this is racism. It is, even in you. And you either are unwittingly racist, which I doubt. You know you're racist, clearly, because you cannot give a solid, logical reason for why you so intensely hate her and feel she shouldn't be there. It's just always the vaguest claims, and when asked to back them up, you cannot. You cannot provide examples, and this is why it seems and is racist, because it is not rooted in anything she did. And it's this bizarre thing too of it being so disproportionate, because even if she had done these things of criticizing the royal family, criticizing British people in a reasonable way, if it wasn't like, oh, Brits are ugly, that's a mean thing to hate her for. But she didn't even, like, nothing she said. She and Harry actually were, if anything, well, I understand, but they really left British people off the hook, and I was especially, because again, primarily my experience with the nastiness was with the British people, was with people. It wasn't with tabloids. I didn't know about most of them until much later into Harry and Meghan's marriage, while they were still working royals. And like after Archie was born is like when I started to like come across those more. And like, but before that, all before that, most of what I was dealing with was the people. It was the Brits. It was not always Brits, like a lot of hijabis from like Singapore. It was interesting. And they were always white, so occasionally black, but overwhelmingly fair-skinned people attacking her for everything she did, for every smile, saying she was pushing Harry out of the way, just lies. Like, I'm looking at this footage, and no, she isn't. It's just an excuse. Like, deranged people with making excuses to hate her, and deranged people who perhaps are genuinely so deranged they're saying things that aren't there. And it's like, so you don't have a leg to stand on here. You're lying, and it's to cover your racism, because at minimum you should acknowledge that racists exist in England. Like, but you can't even do that, and that's very telling. Oh, and then another one lying, saying there is no racism towards Meghan Markle. So none of the people who hate her are racist. That's very believable. That's very likely in a country of millions. Not a single one. Well, not even country, because she didn't specify England. In the world, all the people who hate her in the world, not a single one is racist. That's, yeah, okay. And then it goes on to say there is dislike and mistrust because of her behavior, again with the vague claim of behavior, and her lies. She didn't lie. That's another lie. She did not lie. She was welcomed openly by British people before she showed her true nasty character. Right. You are being racist for accusing racism because we are white. I just thought of that SNL sketch where it was like Matt Damon and Cecily pretending to be back home for Christmas, or inviting like their extended family for Christmas. And there's one part where the mother is like, "You're racist against..." No, I think it was the brother. Her like brother or brother-in-law was like, "You're racist against white people. You're racist against white people." And the mother's like, "She is." It was they were like a family of Trumpsters. It was funny. Anyway, then someone pointed out in response to this Patricia Watson lady, they responded saying, why did Harry release a request before they were married for the media to lay off the racist overtones of their reporting? Meghan hadn't done a single thing except be announced as Harry's fiancé. Yeah, good point. I mean, like, these people are liars. They're racist. They're not going to own it because it's so taboo today. Like, this, like, even, anyway, I already said all of this. One of the big tells is to say there is no racism. You say, like, if you want to be somewhat believable that you're just delusional and not just hiding behind this bullshit excuse, or hiding your racism behind this bullshit excuse, say most of it is not racism. Don't say there is no racism. Like, what? There's objectively racism. Archie had death threats saying, like, with those podcasters arguing that he taints the royal bloodline. He's whiter than his mother. So what are you talking about? It's not racists who hate her. Ugh, I hate these people. Okay, moving on. So I don't remember if I showed this already, but it's in here again, and I called it Support and Real Likes number 4. Carmen's granddaughter says, this woman did not have to show up. That country has abused her so terribly. And I feel extra inclined to just say it, because part of it was like, I don't want to say anything that Harry and Meghan didn't say. Like, so when I haven't actually seen the full print interview, I just have seen it in clips, because I didn't, like, have it in me. As someone who, like, I was in, like, all the worst categories. I was someone who had an attachment to Meghan before she was tied to Harry. Like, I knew of her before she was tied to Harry, so right off the bat, I'm, like, a fan. I'm experiencing her as a fan. And then, I'm seeing it from, like, the ground, the day one, with the people, amongst the people, on Instagram, on Reddit, on Facebook sometimes, on Imgur even, and then, like, later on YouTube, this intense, very cruel hatred. So I experienced it primarily with the people. And Meghan and Harry won't say that. They won't blame the people. They say that, like Harry was saying in the interview, I saw this clip where he blamed the media influencing the people. I say fuck that. It's the people. There are a lot of racist people in the world. There are a lot of racist people in England. I've been arguing with them from day one of you being in a relationship getting announced, and it's racist hate. I didn't want to call it that for so long, but this hate that I would just genuinely be so perplexed by, like, why, like, how is her touching her belly like, reasonable to despise her for? Like, this is such an overreaction. You're, like, using dehumanizing slurs for this woman for touching her belly. This doesn't make sense. And I was, like, half in denial, but half, like, I kind of know what this is. This is racism. But I was, like, in denial still a little bit back then. And it's like, it's the people. It is the people. I guess they can't say that, or maybe they don't think that. Both of them seem just a little bit naive, and one of having those, like, too good for this world kind of souls. They have that vibe, and just not getting messy in that way. But I will say, because of the way I experienced it with primarily the people, it is the people. And so I will say, even though, like, and then so when I saw them say that, that made me like retract a little more, because it was like, oh, they're not blaming the people, so I can't blame the people. But then I'm like, no, I'm not gonna gaslight myself. Like, I know what I experienced, I know what I saw, I know what I've seen under Murky Meghan's page. That was, like, one of the first things I saw that was like was the beginning of me, like, no longer, like, pretending about the hate being racist. Was someone said, like, under her comments, and she left this comment up of that Meghan's mom was, like, their maid and she returned to her role as the help, and something about her looking like she has what was it, like, I think they said she, like, has Medusa braids, or it looks like she has snakes in her hair, something really nasty about her hair. And I think I have to dig in my phone because I used to take screenshots, like, especially like near like maybe like more in 2019. In the beginning, I wasn't taking them as often, um, but I think I got that one. I need to find it. But yes, so there was racism from the people, and I don't like. I feel like it's a cop out to say the media influenced them. If the media started just being super anti-Semitic, the people wouldn't just go along with it. The people would fight back big. They would fight back huge. It would never go down. It's racists appealing to racists. So they're appealing to the racists of their fan base, which is a lot of people. And that's who it's for. It wouldn't get clicks and the interest if that racist hate wasn't there. So I will say it, even though Meghan and Harry have not, I agree with this tweet where it says that country has abused her so terribly. It has. It has beautiful, good people. That's every country. It has good. It has people who did embrace her, who still do embrace her, who are sorry for her ugly experiences in their country. And I just, every time I think of that now, I think of Billie Eilish's song, because there's a line in it that goes, "You made me hate this city." And I just wonder if Meghan ever listens to that and like feels it on a personal level, because there's a lot of the lines, the lyrics in that song that make me think of the BRF, Harry's UK family. It's like, oh, so much of this applies to them. Especially that "you made me hate this city" line. And I hope she doesn't, but I can imagine she must have like forever weird feelings about being in England. I know England's not a city, but like, you know what I mean, because that's just the line. It says city, but a country is more fitting for her. Like, I hope she doesn't hate it, but there's trauma there. Yeah, anyway. And I feel like if you're being like, if some, like, I don't know, if this were anyone else, they said this, the BRF treated them this way, a lot more people, and anyone else fully white, a lot more people would be like, I get it, and be on her side. But there's something especially about women, because I feel like if one of the men who married into this family came out and said, they were mistreated, they, in these specific ways, they didn't even use the word mistreat, they just said, you know what, we left because, this, and this reason. If like, not Beatrice, Eugenie and Jack, if Jack said, like he wanted to do this and he wasn't allowed, and they left, I feel like people would be a lot warmer to a man in Meghan's position. So it's everything. It's misogyny. It is racism, too. But it's both. And now it's like right wing, because right wingers just hate anyone on the left, to be fair. So anyway, the last sentences of this tweet are, Meghan has the heart of a lion, Prince Harry is lucky, and it's just so true. That has so many likes. Okay. And then, like, people were, like, more and more, this is still the 11th, 9/11, people were noticing, so this person tweeted that clip that I was describing earlier, where she tells that, the new Jason Knopf person, the person in that role, just politely says, like, I don't know, something like, I'm gonna hold on to these, or she gave me these to blah, 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 to do something specific with. That clip, and this made me realize, this kid, this is such a kind of black experience. And again, I know Meghan is very fair and is also very white. In addition to black, she's also white, but that doesn't matter to racists. And the way they treat her, it's like, I wonder if there's a real thing in how white people perceive black and mixed people's moves and gestures and behaviors, because they're up in arms under the thing this is responding to from DJ or D Johnson, they're like saying, oh my gosh, she's so mean, this is so like you can see the bully in her. And it's like, are we watching the same video? Like, what are you talking about? She was so polite in that clip. And it's just this scary thing, this of like now just broadly black existence and mixed existence of like, you could just be so benign and like nice, and they could still perceive you as hostile and aggressive and angry. And it's it's kind of funny because at first I was comparing it in my head to that anger management clip where, like, you know, Adam Sandler is like, I just asked for whatever. I can't remember what he asked for. And then the stewardess is so angry, like, interpreting him as so hostile. And she's like, sir, do not. And she's like, he like lightly grazed her, and she was like, did you just grab me? And it was like, that's them. That's like these like Karens and Brads, I guess you could say. It's like this just, I want to call it dishonest, and I think it is at least half of the time. It's they're being manipulative and dishonest, but I think some of them might actually genuinely be like just so racist that they perceive hostility in like the most benign of black movements and mixed race people's movements, and mixed, I should say, with black. That's important because that's why sometimes it just feels easier to call Megan black, because it's like, it's not the mix that they're upset about. It's not her half whiteness, or even maybe she could be 60-70% white, I don't know, because her mother is on the lighter side, so she definitely has European blood herself, her mother. So, but it doesn't matter. Like, all those, like, for racists, especially classist racists, especially like royalists, it's like a hint of black is too black. Direct black blood. We can like look at Megan's mom and know that's a black woman. And like, I don't know, something about knowing Megan is mixed, you can like see it. Like, whenever you see her next to anyone, you can see how she's always tanner than everyone all the time now, or next to anyone white, I should say. So yeah, and like that certainly bugs the racists. Anyway, but so this person said, like, and like I just, it was like, okay, I feel so heard and seen, because it's like, because I started seeing people like post this clip, the derangers anyway, and saying like, oh, you look at how much of a bully she is in here, like she doesn't take a break for anything. And it's like, what is going on? Like, am I on Punk'd, like, in my home? Am I somehow, is someone watching for my reaction? Because like, this doesn't feel like real life, that this could even, that anyone could watch this and claim this and not feel shame and not be laughed at overwhelmingly. But then this person like saw it, responded and was like, okay, I'm gonna read it now. Megan literally can't do anything without y'all getting mad. Oh my gosh. Like, what's wrong with this? How are y'all mad at her just talking to someone? And it's like, thank you. Like, am I, like, what? Like, it was so frustrating to see that. Like, evil. These racists just, ooh, they're awful. And then this person responded saying, oh, you just discovered the world of Prince William and Kate Middleton fans? They are fucking crazy. Like conspiracy theory level shit. They think Megan faked her pregnancies, and Archie and Lily aren't biologically hers. Yeah, it does get that crazy, and a little crazier still. Like, some biologically hers, they don't even think they exist, some of them. They think they're dolls. They've seen the Archie interacting, moving about as a, real baby human, and it's like, that's a doll. And where do we go from here? Like, you should not have access to internet. You should be in an institution. Something is wrong with you. And if you're trolling, then you should really not have access to internet, because there are crazies out there and you are riling them up if you're not one of them yourself. Okay, so here I am once again with another sort of unnatural interjection, just tacking on this outro from the present. Yeah, because so, as I've explained in the past parts, I believe, and in the beginning of this one, I added an intro to this one, this part 3. Um, I believe I explained there how I am having to add these separate intros and outros because I had to, I realized after recording the behemoth recordings that were 4 and 5 and 6 hours long, and then I realized I couldn't upload this as one. I couldn't even upload it, in the original parts they were, because even when I would take a break, that would be after 5 and 6 hours of recording, and that's just, I don't want to put out a 6-hour video. So anyway, but this is the point. This is the last recording I did before I realized that. And so the next one, I know it actually, I took a break at this point, and then I started the next part saying, I realized I have to break this into parts and upload it into parts. And so that's how the next one's gonna start. And it's confusing, I know, but that intro, the next part 4's intro, is gonna be actually an intro that I filmed or that I recorded at the time. It's not gonna be something I tacked on, because that was the point where I realized I have to separate these, upload these by day, and by day I mean by day, and because you know how I'm saying these pictures were taken on the September 8th, these ones were taken on the 9th, the 10th, so that that's the most logical way to do it, I realized. So that's what I do. That's what I realized by part 4, well, what is now part 4, and that is what I do from then on. So maybe I won't have to add these. I think I won't have to add these outros and intros, because at that point I just started saying, okay, this is the end of part, or the end of September 12th or September 13th, so see you in the next part. Sorry to explain and over explain, and maybe even after all this explaining it's still confusing. Sorry, but yeah, it feels like something I have to do. It feels like I have to explain why, and I'm not the best explainer, so sorry. But yeah, and if I've over-explained, forgive me for the redundancy of it all. Anyway, yeah, so this concludes part 3. Next will be part 4, even though I don't realize it's part 4 yet, because while I did realize that I had to separate these bits into parts by day, by the next part, which you'll hear, I did not realize which part it would be. Yeah, anyway, so I will see you in the next part. Thank you for listening. Share, comment, subscribe, and yeah, I know this is taking forever, but it's also late. It doesn't even matter at this point. It's when you're very late, a little extra late doesn't really matter, right? So yeah, again, thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next part 4. So bye for now.